So Man United are through to the FA Cup final for the second season in a row, and for the second season in a row, they're going to be playing Man City. So the chances of actually winning a trophy this year are looking pretty minimal, right? Man City are the superior side, but you never know what could, happen in a one-off game. Didn't happen last year, but maybe this year will be slightly different. But put it this way, I won't be putting a huge amount of money on Man United winning that game. But what I want to talk about in this video is briefly about the match, because I don't want to have to relive it too much because of how it went down. Obviously, great to win in the end, but wasn't ideal letting Coventry back into it in the way they did. But also that you got through to the cup final, but let's talk about the manager. Is he going to get through to, is he going to get through the summer and have another season in charge next year? I'm not so sure he is. Now, for the game itself, I actually thought it was okay, right? For the first 50, 60 minutes. It's hard to not be okay when you're 3-0 up and you haven't given away a huge amount of chances, right? It wasn't like Man United were lucky to be in that position. Was it vintage liquid football the whole time? No. But I think it was fine, right? And a lot of the commentators were saying during the match it was a professional performance, right? Which is always the cliche that comes out when you beat a lower league side. When you're ahead against a lower league side by that kind of scoreline. But then to let Coventry back in it was terrible. Right? I think Man United at times are just an organisational mess. The changes didn't help. There's just always that feeling that the players aren't quite sure like how they're supposed to play, what shape they're supposed to be in when they defend. And look, there was a penalty for one of the goals. The second goal, I think it was the deflected shot. These things happen, but they should never have been allowed to get into that position where they're back in and it goes to extra time. Not when you're 3-0 up, kind of 60, 70 minutes into a match. So it's just another poor performance from Man United over a season of poor performances. And I do think that brings into question, and for a lot of people this has been the case for a while now, can Ten Hag survive until next season? Now I tweeted at the end of the game, I'm just going to double check here now exactly what I said, but essentially it was, I don't even think I was implying it, I think I straight out said it, that Ten Hag probably needs to go. Yeah, so I said pleased to be through to the final of course, but should never have gotten to that point, having to go to a penalty shootout, absolutely ridiculous. And I want to give full credit to Coventry, right? They played well, and I'm sure the players knew that Man United are a team that can be targeted, so I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think when you're 3-0 up, you should expect to go on and win that game with relative ease. Like, I know that Man United are not anywhere near the level of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. They haven't been for a very, very long time now. There's no chance they would have let that slip. Not one, right? And look, it's football. This is why we love it, because these things can happen. It's a low-scoring game, so comebacks are possible, right? More so than when you go miles ahead in other sports. I get that, but there's just no way those teams on current, squad level performances and stuff like that would have let Coventry get back into it. So that's a separate point. But anyway, back to the tweet. Yeah, should never have gotten to that point. I said the cup final is likely to be Ten Hag's last game. Not sure how he can last into next season. Now, was that the right thing to tweet at the end of a match? No, should have probably just been celebrating getting through to the final. But it was just the fact that it was just another terrible performance. And this is what's happened for most of the season. And the only way I can see Ten Hag still being Man United manager next year is if the new kind of, ownership, Jim Ratcliffe, etc., haven't got everyone else they want in place to run things, and or there's just no one available because so many clubs are searching for a manager at the moment. Obviously, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, etc. There could be knock-ons. I think Barcelona too. There just might not be someone out that they want to replace Ten Hag. But I'm almost at the point now where I feel like there's got to be someone out there that is better, given what we've seen during this campaign. I just can't see how there's not a better manager out there. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know who that is, but that's why these people are being paid millions to run the club and put these kind of people in place. So I just don't see how he gets through. Even if he wins the FA Cup final, I don't think that is enough. And, when I went back through some of the replies to that tweet, I think someone said to me, it's the players that are at fault. And look, I don't want to go through the the tedious conversations about we just need 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new players and then we'll be fine. A new defensive midfielder, right? A ball playing goalkeeper, a new forward, etc. Yes, of course, there are additions to the squad that can make that team better. But I don't believe what is there now should be playing as bad as it has been. I think a lot of that has to come down to how that team is being coached. And I grew up through, Arsenal had Arsene Wenger for a very long time. Man United obviously had Alex Ferguson for a very long time. I'm not, supporting a club that changes their manager every 5 minutes. And I don't particularly like that about football these days, but it is what happens. And I think at this point we've kind of seen enough from Ten Hag. Yes, okay, he got the Carabao Cup last year through to another final. But I just think if you look at the performances this year so many times already in this video. If that carries on, these cup finals won't continue. This push for Champions League again, going to win the title, is going to take a very, very, very long time under Ten Hag, and it's probably not going to happen. If you look at the expected points based on expected data, Man United are sitting in the bottom half of the table. They're one of the worst defences all year, and the attack is no better, really. And I just don't think anyone can look at how the team plays and say it's not a coaching issue. Like, again, you want to get back to the levels of kind of Man City and Liverpool, look at how they play, and then try and compare that to Man United. So to give you a couple of examples, right? And look, they'll sometimes change it for different opposition, different setups and stuff like that. But as a general rule, when I watch Arsenal, they will press as a team or they will get back into shape as a team, right? So it might be that Odegaard and Havertz, if Havertz is playing number 9, are kind of the two front men. They almost form a front two instead of a number 10 and number 9. And then obviously Saka and whoever on the left, Trossard, Martinelli, they fall back into a shape. You've got the other players behind them. And it's hard to break them down when they lose the ball. Now, if they lose the ball high up the pitch, Odegaard might trigger and start a press. But he'll only do that if Saka, let's say the ball's on the right, Saka's close to him, he'll push up as well. And again, they're pressing as a team. Man United are kind of all over the place. Sometimes they'll fall back into those kind of shapes. Fernandes, and Højlund up front, similar to Odegaard and Havertz. And you're difficult to break down. But it never continues for a long time. And the pressing structures, I don't consider myself a master football tactician by any stretch, right? I'm not one of those people that tweets about, where players are, the half spaces, the half prep, whatever it is, right? I'm just not into that. But even I can see how bad it is for Man United. And one player I think kind of shows this the most is Bruno Fernandes. Now, I actually think what he is doing is trying to show some passion, trying to get his team playing better. But I would say sometimes he does like a pointless press sometimes, where he just runs the keeper down, but there's no one around him. So all the keeper does, bearing in mind we're in 2024 now, keepers know how to play with their feet, just pass the ball to a defender. Bruno Fernandes is there miles up the pitch, no one's around him, and it's just so easy to play through Man United. There's massive gaps in midfield. It just doesn't work. Now, you can say Bruno Fernandes shouldn't be doing that, but at some point the coach has to take responsibility. Either he's telling him to do that, or if he's not and Bruno Fernandes is doing that off his own back, you need to tell him to stop doing it. Where does he need to be based on what the opposition is doing? And this is what I mean by, is the Man United squad perfect? Absolutely not, right? They could still do with a few more additions. Need another striker. They've only really got Højlund. Martial's going to go. Obviously, Rashford can play there, but that's not his best position. There are spaces in that squad that need to be filled. There is no way they should be playing as bad as they are right now. Even if everyone was fit, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane playing right centre-back, Dallo, etc. He's been very good this season, to be fair. Even if they were all back, I don't think it's going to get necessarily any better. And there has been a lot of injuries this year. I get it. It's not all been Ten Hag's fault. I'm not saying that. But I still think with the players that have been available, this team should be playing better, right? And I think one of the issues is because there's no structure to how they play. I definitely don't want to get into they're not playing the Man United way. I hate that. It's so boring to hear that, right? I just want them to play a way, right? Either you're a team that's always going to get back into shape and be difficult to break down and then go on the attack, or you're going to press high. Do one or the other, right? Don't just do a mix of everything and get it right. I don't care If you want to be a counter-attacking team, do it right. Don't do it kind of half-assed. So it's just when other teams, look, Man City squad, Liverpool squad, Arsenal squad, you could say it's better, etc. But when a player comes in, they know what to do. They know how Arsenal play. You fit into a certain role. It doesn't feel like that with Man United. And the same with Liverpool, right? They play in a slightly different way. I saw the Gary Neville interview with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he said the way that Klopp obviously wants them to play is to win the ball back and win it fast. So he knows when that ball gets lost, if he's right up the pitch, his job is not to get back into the right back position, is to go and press that ball, and someone behind him will fill in that spot instead. You just don't see anything with Man United. I just think they're all over the place. The amount of chances they've given up this season is an absolute joke, and they're not really any better going forward either. And I just don't see how Ten Hag can make it through to next year. Like I never want to be someone that like doesn't support the manager. I just never be like that. I want him to do well. I want him to finish the season great, show something, and then be better next year. But I've got no confidence that will happen. I don't think it really matters what the performances are for the last kind of however many games are left now, 5 or 6, plus the FA Cup. I just don't think it gets any better next year. And I almost feel like a fresh start is probably the way forward. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I think I saw someone speak about this yesterday or tweet it, that, you know, the FA Cup final gets done, whether Man United win it or lose it, within a day or two, there'll probably be a statement that says, thanks for your time, but we're moving on. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're already looking a new manager. They should be looking for new managers, even if they're not quite sure what they want to do with Ten Hag. Like, look at Brighton, for example. I'm sure if De Zerbi goes, they know exactly who they want. And if they can't get him, I'm sure they've got number 2, number 3, number 4. But they will know which managers they want. Man United should be in that same place. If, by, you know, the end of the season, FA Cup final, hopefully they've already made the decision, Ten Hag's not the one, there should be someone else there. So, yeah, I don't know. I think he, you know, he has to, I was going to say has to go, but I think there's serious. I just can't. If someone in the comments can give me a good reason to why he should stay, I'd like to hear it. Like, you know, would it be good to have someone who's been there the last couple of years as a consistent point for, you know, when the new ownership is in going into next season? Sure, if there's positive signs that things are going to get better, but it's just not. It's just not really there. So I'd like to see Man United get someone new in. I think at this point. Who that is, I got no idea. This is why I'll never be whatever they are, technical director of football, whoever's going to make the decision. I'm never going to be in that position. I'm just an idiot with a webcam talking rubbish on YouTube. If you've enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you again soon.